Hello and welcome. In a recent interview, Michael Keaton made some comments about the likely influence of Tim Burton's Batman film on the current state, proliferation perhaps, of comic book movies, suggesting even that the two big U's might not be without it. He's getting a lot of flack for this on social media, not that he cares, I'm sure, mostly based on third-level repetition via clickbait headlines. I'm surprised and a little disappointed by some of the people who jumped on this. The backlash is mainly based on the Keaton quotes being read as dismissive of, or even insulting to, the earlier classic Richard Donner, Christopher Reeve Superman films. While Mr. Keaton doesn't need me to defend him by any means, there's a lot about this situation that irks me, so I'm going to address it anyway. First, since the Donner films weren't any part of the conversation in the posted interview, dragging them into the discourse is the pettiest form of, well, actually, fansplaining. What Keaton is referring to specifically, quoted, is Burton's choice and his vision. The choice to cast an actor with one dramatic term, one, otherwise known strictly for comedy, as a Batman that was going to be played straight. And yet the actor becomes iconically connected with the role. Now, let's look at the MCU front. While in retrospect the casting may seem inevitable, let's admit that although he might never have been anywhere near has-been status, RDJ was not exactly living the high life since that Chaplin Oscar nomination when he was awarded the gift of that other metal guy. And his current A-list ubiquity is based more on his MCU membership than his intervening stalwart supporting roles. The vision, Burton's, mentioned by Keaton, to embrace comic book style for what it was traditionally at that time. Inherently heightened storytelling, but not necessarily camp. Combined with a marketing campaign, which isn't really all Burton, the first Batman film did create the superhero film phenomenon. Now, turning back time to 1978 and the first Donner Reeve Superman, yes, we believed a man could fly. Richard Donner did have a vision that saved that film from the camp and kitsch it could have been. And Christopher Reeve, however excited I am to see Superman, I don't need a documentary to tell me that man was a true hero. The stature and influence of that film is undeniable. On the other hand, let's say that film was it, a one-off. Heck, for argument's sake, we'll throw in its immediate successor to boot. Maybe 3 decades later, nostalgia might have had enough effect to get a studio to consider another major motion picture comic book adaptation. Maybe. That would not have been Iron Man. But in fact, there weren't just 2 Superman movies, there were 4. And yes, Reeve was a hero whose heart was ever and always in the right place. But if The Quest for Peace was the last example of superhero films and their profitability that a studio had to go by, it would be the last. No MCU, no DCEU, no DCU. Not without a blockbuster turnaround for such adaptations just a year after Superman was nearly buried permanently by the nuclear man, however the plot turned out. So yes, Donner Reeve Superman movie did set the bar for superhero films. But Mr. Keaton is not wrong either. Burton's Batman let the genie out of the bottle, or the fifth-dimensional imp out of the fountain pen. Without that film's unprecedented success, the odds are heavily against any comic book movie franchise existing, let alone thriving today. And forget any shared universe entirely. So hashtag Mike is right. Oh, and happy birthday, Michael Keaton.